The city was quiet in a way that made the heart ache. Tall towers of metal and glass stretched into a sky, darkened by the pollution of alien machines. The streets below were narrow and shadowed, and even the wind seemed afraid to move too quickly. Among the alleyways, humans huddled together, moving quickly, avoiding the patrols of the alien enforcers. They were weak compared to their alien overlords, yet they carried a spark that the aliens could never understand. Lena, a girl of 12, moved with careful steps, her small hands clutching a worn satchel that contained nothing more than scraps of bread and a small sketchbook. Her eyes, bright and wide, scanned the streets, noting every shadow, every movement. She was clever for her age, and she had learned quickly how to survive in a city that seemed to have no place for children. But today, luck was not on her side. A patrol of alien enforcers rounded the corner, their eyes glowing with unnatural light. They moved with mechanical precision, their limbs long and jointed in ways that human eyes could barely follow. Lena froze. Her heart pounded in her chest, and for a moment, the world seemed to shrink to the alley she stood in. "Run!" whispered a voice from the shadows, a fellow human. But it was too late. The aliens had spotted her. With inhuman speed, they surrounded her, their glowing eyes fixing on her small form. Lena's stomach tightened with fear, but she refused to scream. She had learned that fear often gave aliens the control they craved. Far above the city, perched atop a mountain that pierced the clouds, Drakon watched. The ancient dragon's scales shimmered in shades of silver and blue, reflecting the dim light of the polluted sky. He had lived for centuries, seen worlds rise and fall, and yet, something about this small human stirred a feeling he had not felt in a long time. He saw the fear in her eyes, yes, but also something else, something the aliens could never see. Courage, defiance, a tiny flame of spirit that refused to be extinguished. Drakon's massive wings shifted, and his eyes, golden and deep, never left her. He knew he was not allowed to interfere directly in human affairs. Ancient cosmic laws forbade it. But he watched anyway, for the first time truly curious about a human. In the alley below, Lena's captors dragged her toward the center of the city. The patrols had planned a display, one meant to break the spirits of humans everywhere. Lena struggled, but she was small, and the aliens were strong. They laughed, a sound that made the blood run cold. But Lena's eyes remained steady. She did not scream. She did not cry. In that moment, she became more than a child. She became a symbol of resistance. Drakon's claws dug into the stone beneath him, and he leaned forward slightly. His massive head tilted, and for a brief second, his nostrils flared, smelling the fear and courage mingled together. Humans were fragile. Yes, but fragile could also mean sharp, unpredictable, and full of surprise. He could feel it in Lena. The aliens brought her to a square in the center of the city, where other humans had been forced to watch their friends punished. The square was cold, metal, and unforgiving. Machines hummed and clicked around the edges, ready to enforce pain. Lena's eyes scanned the crowd. She recognized a few faces, other children, older humans. All forced to witness cruelty they could do nothing to stop. Her heart ached for them. "You think this will break us?" she asked aloud, her voice small but clear. The aliens ignored her, moving as if she were already nothing. Lena's defiance was her last gift to herself. She drew a deep breath, held it steady, and refused to show weakness. From above, Drakon counted the minutes. The first, the second, the third. His eyes were fixed on her, recording every moment. And when the 36th minute came, he made a silent vow. Something would happen after those 36 minutes. He did not know how, but he knew one thing: humans, no matter how small, were capable of sparks he had never seen in the universe before. The aliens began their display. Machines whirred, lights flickered, and Lena's arms were held in place. Her mind raced. She could not escape physically. But maybe she could leave something else behind. A mark of bravery that would endure, even if she did not. She closed her eyes briefly and whispered words that no alien could understand, words that would travel farther than any machine could reach. The crowd of humans watched silently. Some with tears in their eyes, some with fists clenched. Lena's courage was infectious, even in the face of danger. Even when her life hung by a thread, she refused to give them despair. And in that small act, she became something more than human. She became hope. Drakon's eyes narrowed. He had seen countless worlds, countless species, yet none had sparked the same mixture of curiosity and respect as this small human child. Something inside him stirred, a part of the dragon that had long slept. He remembered what it was to care, to watch over life instead of dominate it. He remembered the feeling of wonder, at unexpected courage. And then, as the 36th minute approached, Lena's defiance reached its peak. She stared into the eyes of her captors and refused to flinch. She would not give them satisfaction. She would not allow fear to dominate her final moments. And as the clock ticked over, something changed in the energy around her. A pulse, faint at first, barely noticeable, but enough that even the aliens paused. Drakon's massive chest heaved. He had never seen this before. A human life, ending as it did, yet leaving behind something that felt like potential. Something that could not be measured in strength, or numbers, or machines. Lena's life, brief as it had been, had created a ripple, and Drakon understood something important. Humans were unpredictable, dangerous in ways the universe had underestimated. By the end of the 36th minute, Lena lay still. The aliens considered their display complete, satisfied that they had demonstrated power. But Drakon's gaze lingered on her. He did not look with sadness alone, but with recognition. This child, fragile yet fearless, had shown what humans could do, even when stripped of all power. He flapped his wings slowly, the motion causing gusts of wind that swept through the city. Machines faltered, lights flickered. The aliens had no idea why their systems seemed unstable, why the ground itself seemed to hum. Drakon had not touched them. He only observed, and his presence alone had begun to influence the world. Humans in the crowd whispered among themselves. "Did you see that?" one asked. "The dragon. It's here." Another shook her head. "It's impossible." But the whispers spread, and with them, a tiny ember of hope. Lena's courage, witnessed by both humans and a being far beyond their understanding, had already begun to change the hearts of those who survived. Drakon rose higher into the clouds, the wind carrying his thoughts with it. He did not yet interfere. He could not. Cosmic laws still bound him. But he had seen enough to know that something would happen in the coming moments. Something that could not be predicted. Something born from human spirit. And so, the city returned to its uneasy silence. Machines hummed, aliens marched, and humans whispered. Lena's life had ended, but her courage had not. It lingered in the shadows, in the hearts of those who had seen it, and in the eyes of a dragon who had learned, in a single tragic moment, that humans were capable of far more than any law, machine, or alien could contain. Drakon's golden eyes glowed as he vanished into the clouds. He did not know what the next 36 minutes would bring, but he was certain of one thing. Humanity's story had only begun, and it was far more powerful than anyone could imagine. The clouds over the city shifted, dark and heavy, as if they too felt the weight of what had just happened. Lena's small body lay still in the center of the square, yet the faintest shimmer of light hovered above her. It was not a machine or alien technology, but something more subtle, something almost alive. Drakon had seen many things in his long life, but the faint spark above her form made him pause. He had watched countless species struggle and fall. He had witnessed empires rise and die, entire worlds crumble under their own pride. But humans were different. He could not yet understand fully why, but he sensed that Lena's courage had left behind more than just memory. There was energy, yes, but also spirit. Something unique that no machine, no law, no alien could truly capture. From the clouds, he descended slowly. His massive wings spread wide, creating gusts that rippled through the city streets. The aliens who had just celebrated their victory paused, uneasy, feeling an unfamiliar presence. Their machines stuttered, lights flickering as if unsure of what was happening. They had never encountered a dragon this close, and they certainly had never witnessed one paying attention to humans. Drakon landed on the edge of the square, careful to make his entrance known without unnecessary destruction. He did not need to attack yet. His presence alone caused fear among the aliens. A fear different from anything they had felt before. It was not for their lives, it was for something greater. Something they could not comprehend. The humans in the crowd held their breath. No one moved, afraid that even a whisper might anger the massive dragon. But when Drakon's golden eyes settled on Lena, a strange calm spread among them. For the first time, they felt seen not as weak, not as insignificant, but as beings with potential. Drakon knelt beside her. His massive claws hovered just above her, careful not to touch her body. He had no desire to disrupt the spark that hovered above her form. It was fragile, yes, but strong in its own way. He studied it, understanding that this small human, even in death, had achieved something extraordinary. It is not supposed to happen like this, he murmured to himself. His voice was deep and resonant, yet quiet enough that only the humans close by could hear. Humans, you are different, so small, yet so strong, so fragile, yet so unbroken. A hush fell over the square. Even the alien enforcers paused, confused by the dragon's words. How could a single being, no matter how powerful, speak of respect for humans? They had been trained to view humans as nothing more than tools or obstacles. Yet here was a creature far beyond their technology, acknowledging something they could not see. Drakon sensed something in the spark above Lena. It was faint, almost like a heartbeat, though he knew it was not the same as a living human heartbeat. It pulsed with energy, reacting to his presence. He could feel it stretching, growing, as if it recognized him. The dragon realized that the spark might be Lena's courage, her defiance, or perhaps something deeper, something that could influence the very world around it. He extended one massive claw, not to touch her, but to channel his attention, his power, toward the spark. The air shimmered with his presence, and the humans around him gasped. It was not destructive. It was as if the energy around Lena and the dragon's power were communicating silently. He could feel the essence of what Lena had been: bravery, cleverness, defiance, hope. And in that moment, Drakon understood something vital about humans. They could inspire even the oldest, most powerful beings. They could leave a mark on the universe that no alien machine, no weapon, could erase. Suddenly, a small group of humans approached cautiously. They were children, older than Lena, who had survived the patrols. Their eyes were wide with fear and awe, yet they stepped forward, drawn by the presence of the dragon and the spark that hovered above their fallen friend. Is she? One of them whispered, voice trembling. She is gone, Drakon replied softly, his golden eyes sweeping over them. But she is not lost. Not yet. She has left something behind, something that can never be taken. The humans looked at each other, unsure what he meant. But even in their confusion, a small flame of hope ignited. They had witnessed courage. They had witnessed a being far beyond their understanding acknowledging it, and for the first time, they believed that humans might matter in ways even the aliens could not control. Drakon rose slightly, his wings stretching to their full span. The city trembled under the weight of his presence, but he did not intend to harm. Instead, he focused on observing, studying the humans, their reactions, their potential. He realized that even a small spark of bravery could ignite change. Lena had been that spark. The aliens, meanwhile, began to regroup. They were confused, angry, and wary. Their technology had faltered, their systems disrupted, and their understanding of power had been challenged. They did not yet understand why, but they could feel that something fundamental had shifted. Drakon observed them, noting their fear and confusion. He did not act immediately. Patience was one of his greatest tools, and he had lived long enough to know that timing was everything. Humans, small and underestimated, could create consequences far greater than their size suggested. Lena had proven that, and he would ensure her courage was not wasted. Human courage, he whispered to himself, is not measured by strength alone. It is measured by the willingness to face the impossible, to resist when resistance seems meaningless. He turned back to the humans who had survived the patrol. They stared up at him, awe and fear mixing in their expressions. For a moment, they were silent, unsure how to respond to a being that could crush them in an instant, yet had come to honor one of their own. "You must understand," Drakon said, his voice deep and calm, "that your courage matters. Even in the smallest act, you can create waves that reach farther than you imagine." One of the older children stepped forward. "But how can we fight them? We are small. We are weak." Drakon looked down, his eyes softening. Strength is not only in size or power. Strength is in spirit. You may be small, but your determination, your cleverness, your willingness to act, that is the power no machine can match. The humans listened, slowly absorbing his words. Hope, fragile yet persistent, began to grow in their hearts. Lena's death had been terrible, but her courage, witnessed by the dragon, had become something more than personal. It had become a symbol. Drakon stretched his wings and lifted slightly above the square. The wind carried whispers among the humans. Whispers of Lena, of courage, of a dragon that saw what the aliens could not. He had broken no laws yet, but he had already begun to change the balance. As the minutes passed, the faint spark above Lena's body began to shimmer brighter. It pulsed, as if responding to the presence of humans who still believed, who still hoped. Drakon recognized it immediately. It was the essence of her defiance, a rare human energy that could survive even in the face of death. "Interesting," he murmured, more to himself than to anyone else. "Such a small creature, and yet remarkable. Perhaps humanity is not as insignificant as I thought." He watched the aliens retreat, uncertain, their confidence shaken. Machines that had never failed before faltered in their presence. The city seemed to hold its breath, and in that stillness, Drakon made a choice. He would intervene, but carefully. He would not destroy recklessly, nor would he act without thought. He would allow the humans to see what their courage could accomplish, but he would also teach the aliens a lesson. Underestimating humans was dangerous. Very dangerous. Drakon's golden eyes shifted once more to Lena's spark. "I will not forget you," he whispered. "You have shown me that even the smallest of your kind can leave a mark upon the universe. And I will honor that mark." The humans around him began to murmur quietly. Words of hope, of courage, of defiance against the oppression that had ruled their lives. Lena's story, brief yet powerful, was already spreading. Her bravery had become more than personal. It had become a seed of something larger. And as Drakon rose into the sky, wings beating with silent power, He knew that the next 36 minutes, or the next 36 hours, days, or weeks, would bring changes that even the aliens could not predict. Humans had something extraordinary, something cosmic, that could not be measured by weapons or technology alone. Lena's life had ended, yes. But her courage had awakened something greater. Something that even the oldest dragon in the universe could not ignore. And Drakon, watching from above, understood that this was only the beginning. The story of humanity's resilience, of small acts of bravery that could echo across worlds, had begun with a 12-year-old girl in a dark city square, and the universe would never be the same again. The city had not yet recovered from the events in the square. Humans whispered, quietly, among themselves, still shaken but filled with a spark of hope. Rumors spread of a dragon that had appeared, a massive being who had observed them with interest, who had honored the courage of a small 12-year-old girl. Lena's story had begun to travel even before her body was laid to rest. Drakon circled high above the city. From the clouds, his golden eyes glowed like twin suns, scanning every alley, every tower, every machine that patrolled the streets below. The aliens had assumed that humans were weak, helpless, and insignificant. They had underestimated the one thing they could never understand: human spirit. And Drakon had seen it in Lena. He had felt it pulse in the air. He had seen it ignite in the hearts of survivors. The dragon's wings stretched wide as he descended toward the city, silent but powerful. His shadow swept across the streets, causing humans to look up in awe and fear, and aliens to freeze in confusion. Machines flickered, systems faltered, and for the first time, the invaders felt uncertainty. They could sense power far beyond their technology, and it unsettled them deeply. Drakon did not roar. He did not strike immediately. His presence alone was enough to shift the balance. Humans watched in disbelief as a being of immense strength hovered above them, observing carefully, patiently, calculating his next move. There was intelligence in his gaze, not only raw power, and humans sensed that this intelligence was aligned with them, that for the first time, someone powerful had seen them as more than prey. A group of humans began to gather in the streets, emboldened by the dragon's appearance. They had lost friends, family, and hope in the last few days, yet here was a symbol of something greater. Small hands held tools, scraps of metal, and even simple weapons, but their eyes burned with courage. Lena's courage had been the spark, and now it was spreading like wildfire. Drakon noticed the aliens below, patrolling the streets with mechanical precision. They had gathered in formations, certain that their strength and numbers would keep humans subdued. They were wrong. They had never faced creatures like humans before, nor had they faced a dragon who had chosen to notice them. Drakon's wings beat slowly, sending gusts of wind that knocked small machines off balance. The aliens panicked slightly, unable to predict what the dragon might do next. With a calculated motion, Drakon struck. He did not breathe fire. He did not crush buildings. Instead, he used his ancient power in a subtle, precise way. Energy rippled through the machines that controlled the city, causing lights to flicker, engines to stall, and communication systems to fail. The aliens shouted in confusion as their technology betrayed them. Humans began to move, taking advantage of the disruption. Move! Drakon's deep voice echoed across the streets, calm yet commanding. Do not wait for permission. Do not fear what seems impossible. You are stronger than you believe. Humans hesitated for only a moment before following his guidance. They ran through the streets, dismantling small machines, sabotaging patrols, and helping one another. Their courage surprised even Drakon. They were clever, unpredictable, and determined. Lena's legacy lived in them, and her spirit guided their actions like an unseen hand. The aliens regrouped quickly, but Drakon anticipated every move. His mind worked faster than any machine, faster than any alien strategy. He directed small bursts of energy to disrupt key points in the alien network, allowing humans to gain ground. It was not brute force alone that won the day, it was coordination, intelligence, and courage, amplified by Drakon's intervention. Children who had hidden in fear moments ago now ran with purpose. Older humans, previously resigned to oppression, now found new strength. They lifted heavy debris, redirected small power sources, and used their knowledge of the city's alleys to move unnoticed. Each small act was magnified by the dragon's presence, each choice carrying weight far greater than anyone could measure. Drakon watched it all, his golden eyes gleaming. He had seen countless species, countless armies, and countless conflicts, yet never had he seen something like this. A small, fragile species using nothing but courage, intelligence, and defiance to challenge a technologically superior force. Humans were remarkable. In the center of the city, the alien commanders gathered. They were furious, unable to comprehend how their precise plans had failed. "What is happening?" one demanded, his voice shaking with frustration. "Our systems are failing." "Humans," another replied hesitantly. They are fighting back." The alien commanders laughed nervously. "That is impossible. Humans are weak. They cannot oppose us." But their laughter faltered as machines continued to fail and humans moved with unexpected skill. Drakon's subtle power, combined with human ingenuity, had created a force the aliens could not control. Every action humans took was amplified, every courageous choice creating more disruption. In one alley, a group of children managed to redirect power from a control panel, disabling several alien patrol drones. In another street, a human engineer used scraps of metal and wires to jam communication between command units. Drakon watched silently, pleased but careful not to reveal too much of his plan. He had come not to dominate but to guide, to show humans the power they had within themselves. Time passed, and the city began to shift. Humans moved with purpose, their confidence growing with each small victory. The aliens grew desperate, their patience running thin. Drakon's presence remained constant, hovering above, watching, guiding, and occasionally sending subtle bursts of energy to ensure humans had the advantage. He noticed something extraordinary. The humans were learning from one another. Every mistake became a lesson. Every success became a strategy. Lena's courage had been a spark, and now it had become a flame, spreading among survivors who had once believed themselves powerless. Finally, Drakon made his next move. He did not strike at the humans or the city directly. Instead, he targeted the alien command center, a tower of metal and glass that controlled most of the city's machines. With a subtle sweep of his clawed wings, he disrupted the energy flow, sending the building into temporary shutdown. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and the aliens panicked. Human leaders stepped forward, guiding others to take advantage of the moment. Machines were disabled, patrols were stopped, and key systems were taken over by the humans themselves. They were no longer victims. They were participants, and their courage was reshaping their city. Drakon observed with growing admiration. He had not needed to destroy anything directly. The humans were doing the work themselves, guided by their own intelligence and bravery. It was as if Lena's spirit was among them, encouraging, directing, inspiring. In the aftermath of the first strike, the city was quiet once more. Humans had reclaimed control over parts of their own streets, and the aliens were forced to retreat temporarily. Yet the story of the strike spread instantly. Whispers of a dragon who had appeared to honor Lena's courage spread from street to street. Humans spoke of bravery, hope, and the power within themselves. Drakon rose into the sky once more, wings cutting through the clouds with silent grace. He had not yet interfered fully, but he had shown humans what they were capable of. The spark Lena had left behind had grown, and with it, the potential for change in a city that had known only fear. As he watched from above, Drakon realized something profound. Humans were not weak. They were unpredictable, resourceful, and full of courage. Lena had shown it in her final moments, and now, the survivors were proving it with every action. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans could rise, adapt, and fight not with the raw strength of machines, but with intelligence, determination, and heart. The dragon's golden eyes swept over the city one last time before he turned toward the horizon. The aliens would regroup. They would attempt to reclaim control. But the humans had learned something invaluable. They were not alone. They had courage, they had ingenuity, and they had something far greater than any technology: hope. And Drakon, watching from afar, knew the next battle would be even greater. The strike had only begun. Humans, once thought insignificant, had already begun to shape their destiny. And the dragon, ancient and wise, would ensure that Lena's courage, and humanity itself, was never forgotten. The story of humans rising against the impossible had begun, and the universe would soon see that even the smallest spark could ignite a fire no machine could extinguish. The city lay in a tense silence. The first strike had shown humans that they could fight back. That courage could shift the balance even in the face of overwhelming technology. But the alien overlords would not surrender so easily. They had gathered in the central citadel, a massive structure of black metal that pierced the sky, its towers glowing with energy. From there, they controlled the machines, the patrols, and the city itself. Drakon hovered above the city, wings spreading wide against the dim light. The golden glow of his eyes reflected the energy of the city below, alive with humans who were now moving with purpose. Every street held whispers of Lena's courage, and the humans were beginning to understand their own power. They had seen that intelligence, courage, and cleverness could challenge even the most advanced alien technology. The dragon's gaze shifted toward the citadel. The alien overlords were confident, arrogant, and cruel. Yet, they were unprepared for what was coming. Drakon could feel the energy of the city itself responding to human spirit. Lena's spark, small yet persistent, had grown in the hearts of the survivors. It pulsed, a silent rhythm of courage and defiance. Inside the citadel, the aliens prepared their defenses. "We cannot allow them to disrupt us again," one commander said. "They are still insignificant," another replied. "Machines can overpower them. Any resistance will be crushed." Outside, humans watched the towers, their faces lit with determination. They had learned, even in the chaos, that they could influence outcomes in ways no alien had predicted. Children moved alongside adults, using clever tricks, improvising tools, and sabotaging smaller patrols. Every small success added to their confidence. Every act of bravery became a lesson to the others. Drakon descended closer to the city, careful to remain out of direct combat. His presence alone caused machines to falter. The alien overlords glanced upward, noticing the massive figure circling in the sky. They had underestimated him, thinking he would remain a distant observer. Their arrogance had always been their weakness. "The dragon," one commander muttered. "It is here to interfere." Drakon's golden eyes narrowed. He did not attack immediately. Instead, he observed the humans below, noting their clever maneuvers, their growing skill, their courage. He had seen countless species in his long life, yet humans surprised him. They were fragile, yes, yet capable of astonishing acts of bravery. Lena had been the spark. Now, they were becoming a flame. He descended toward the edge of the citadel, using subtle energy to disrupt the defensive systems. Alarms blared, machines stuttered, and alien guards scrambled to respond. Humans took advantage immediately, guiding each other through the chaos. The dragon's intervention was precise, never harming humans but amplifying their courage and intelligence. Inside the citadel, the alien overlords began to panic. Their command systems faltered in ways they could not predict. "What is happening?" one demanded. "Our technology. Our control. It is failing." Drakon's deep voice echoed across the city. "You have underestimated them," he said. "Humans are not insignificant. They are unpredictable, resourceful, and brave. Their courage is stronger than your machines, stronger than your cruelty." The words echoed like thunder, shaking the confidence of the alien commanders. Outside, humans paused to listen, their hearts swelling with hope. Lena's courage had been witnessed by the dragon, and now it inspired every person in the city. Drakon raised one massive claw, not to strike, but to focus his power. Energy flowed from him, subtle yet overwhelming, touching the city's systems and connecting with the spark that had remained above Lena's body. It was faint, almost imperceptible, yet powerful. The spark responded, pulsing and growing stronger. The humans sensed it. A sudden clarity spread among them, a feeling of connection, of guidance. They could see small openings in the alien defenses, weak points in patrol patterns, and ways to disable machines. Every decision they made was sharper, faster, and more confident. Lena's spirit, amplified by the dragon, guided them silently. Inside the citadel, the aliens could not understand what was happening. Their systems, built on precision and control, faltered in the face of human unpredictability and courage. Every move humans made disrupted their plans. Every act of defiance, no matter how small, became a threat to their control. Drakon watched with growing admiration. Humans were more than he had expected. Their strength was not physical. It was not the raw force of claws or machines. It was spirit, courage, intelligence, and the ability to act despite fear. Lena had shown it in her final moments, and now the city was living proof. Finally, Drakon directed his attention to the central command tower. The alien overlords watched in horror as energy surged subtly through their systems, not destroying, but disabling them temporarily. Lights flickered, alarms wailed, and machines ground to a halt. Humans rushed to take advantage, moving quickly and cleverly, dismantling systems and disabling patrols. For the first time, the aliens realized that their control was not absolute. They had relied on fear and technology, yet humans had something they could not predict. Lena's courage had created a spark, and Drakon had nurtured it. Together, they had disrupted the balance of power. In a central chamber of the citadel, Drakon's gaze fixed on the overlords. "You have underestimated humans," he said. "They are small, yes, and fragile, yes, but their spirit, their courage, their intelligence cannot be crushed by machines alone. You have not yet learned the value of the unexpected." The overlords shouted, trying to regain control. But every move they made was anticipated, disrupted, or rendered useless. Drakon's power flowed subtly through the city, guiding humans and amplifying the spark Lena had left behind. The aliens realized too late that they had misjudged the smallest creatures they had ever oppressed. Humans moved with confidence now. They disabled patrol drones, guided each other through weak points, and coordinated in ways the aliens could not predict. Every small act became part of a larger pattern. A silent rebellion, led not by force alone, but by courage and intelligence. Drakon observed silently, proud yet cautious. He had not intervened fully, but he had given humans a glimpse of their own potential. Lena's spirit had grown into something greater, a force that could challenge even the most powerful alien overlords. At that moment, something extraordinary happened. The faint spark above Lena's resting place glowed brighter, and a pulse of energy radiated outward. It touched every human in the city, filling them with a sense of determination and purpose. The dragon's eyes glowed golden as he realized the full extent of what had occurred. The spirit of one small human, combined with the courage of many, had begun to reshape the fate of a city. The alien overlords, terrified and confused, finally understood that they had underestimated more than just humans. They had underestimated hope, courage, and the power of a spirit that refused to be broken. Their machines could fail, their patrols could falter, but the human spirit, Lena's spirit, was unstoppable. Drakon hovered above the city one last time, wings spread wide, eyes glowing. He had shown the humans what they were capable of, but the final lesson had yet to be revealed. The overlord's defeat was near, but it would not come from destruction alone. It would come from the courage, intelligence, and determination of humans themselves. And in that moment, Drakon understood something profound. The universe had been wrong to underestimate humans. Small, fragile, seemingly insignificant, they could achieve greatness beyond imagination. Lena had shown it in her final moments, and now, the survivors were living proof. The dragon rose higher into the clouds, watching over the city. The humans below were no longer passive victims. They were participants, leaders of their own destiny, inspired by courage and guided by intelligence. The revelation was clear. Humanity was capable of shaping its own fate, even against the most powerful forces in the galaxy. And Drakon, ancient and wise, knew that the climactic moment was near. The alien overlords would learn that the smallest spark human courage could ignite a fire no technology, no machine, no force could contain. Lena's legacy had become more than a memory. It had become a movement, a revolution in spirit, guided by the wisdom of a dragon who had finally seen what humans were truly capable of. The city was quiet once more, but the silence was different now. It was not the heavy, fearful quiet of before. It was a quiet filled with possibility, with hope, and with the faint energy of human courage that had refused to be broken. Lena's spark, once a faint glow above her fallen form, now seemed to pulse gently across the streets. It was invisible to the alien overlords, but every human felt it in their hearts. Drakon hovered high above, wings spread like a great shadow against the sky. The golden glow of his eyes reflected the light of the city below, now alive with humans moving with confidence and purpose. He had guided them, subtly, without fighting for them. It had been their courage, intelligence, and defiance that had disrupted the alien machines and patrols. He had only shown them what they were capable of. From the citadel, the alien overlords watched, stunned and fearful. Their systems had failed, their patrols had been outsmarted, and their control over the city had been broken. They had underestimated humans, as they had always done. And now they faced a species they could neither dominate nor predict. The overlords tried to regroup, but their machines no longer obeyed, and their soldiers hesitated, uncertain in the face of human ingenuity. Humans moved among the streets confidently now. Children, older humans, and engineers who had been silent for years began organizing. They dismantled broken machines, repaired systems that could be used to their advantage, and guided each other safely through streets that had once been filled with fear. Lena's courage had inspired them all, and her legacy had become more than a spark. It had become a movement. In the city square, where Lena had taken her final stand, humans gathered to honor her memory. They placed small tokens of respect, flowers from rooftops, drawings on walls, and notes of courage written on scraps of metal. Her bravery, witnessed by both humans and the dragon, had become a symbol of hope. Even the smallest children understood that she had shown them the meaning of courage. Drakon descended slowly toward the square. He did not land among them, but his presence was enough. The humans looked up in awe, remembering the golden eyes that had watched them, that had recognized their potential. They felt seen, respected, and empowered in a way they had never imagined possible. "You have learned well," Drakon said, his voice deep and calm, carrying over the square. "You have shown courage in the face of fear. You have acted with intelligence when others would have run. And you have proven that even the smallest spark can ignite change. A human elder stepped forward, voice trembling but strong. It was Lena. She showed us the way. Her courage, her spirit, it lives in us now. Drakon's eyes softened as he looked at them. Yes, she has given you more than hope. She has given you proof of your own strength. Remember this lesson, for it will guide you in times of darkness. The humans nodded, absorbing his words. They understood that the dragon's presence had been a gift, a guide, but that their actions had mattered most. Machines had faltered, patrols had been outsmarted, and alien control had been broken not because of raw power, but because courage, intelligence, and heart had worked together. From the citadel, the alien overlords retreated, knowing they had lost control. Their arrogance had been their downfall, and they had learned too late that underestimating humans was a grave mistake. The city now belonged to those who had fought, even in small ways, to reclaim it. Lena's courage had been the catalyst. Drakon's guidance had amplified it. Together, they had changed the course of the city's fate. Humans began rebuilding, slowly but determinedly. They repaired streets, restored safe spaces, and established watch points to prevent future oppression. They no longer moved in fear. They had learned the value of courage, planning, and clever action. Each small success reinforced the belief that humans could overcome obstacles no matter how overwhelming. Drakon watched from above as humans worked together. His ancient eyes, wise from centuries of observing countless worlds, reflected admiration. He had seen species rise and fall, empires crumble, and battles won and lost. Yet never had he witnessed the raw power of human spirit as he did now. They were fragile, yes, but their courage was unstoppable. They were small, yes, but their intelligence and ingenuity made them a force no machine could control. He knew his time in the city would soon end. Cosmic laws still bound him, preventing him from remaining indefinitely. But he had left a mark, and more importantly, he had seen humans leave one. Lena's courage, once small and faint, had grown into a lasting force, spreading across the city and shaping the hearts of everyone who had survived. As he lifted into the clouds, he spoke softly, as if to Lena's spirit. You have shown me. Humans are extraordinary, small, fragile, yet capable of greatness that defies reason. I will not forget you. Lena, your courage has changed everything. The humans continued their work below, unaware that the dragon watched over them. They spoke of Lena, shared stories of her bravery, and encouraged one another to act with courage and intelligence. The spark she had left behind had grown into a fire, and now it illuminated the city. Children played in safe streets for the first time, guided by older humans who had learned to lead. Engineers rebuilt small systems to aid daily life, showing that cleverness and courage could create practical change. Everyone felt Lena's legacy, and every act of kindness, courage, or cleverness became part of a growing movement that promised a brighter future. Drakon soared higher, looking at the city spread beneath him. The alien overlords would eventually return, seeking revenge or control. But the humans had changed. They had learned to act together, to think strategically, and to believe in their own power. Lena's courage had taught them that even the smallest spark could grow into a force the universe could not ignore. From a distance, Drakon could see the faintest shimmer above the square where Lena had fallen. It pulsed gently, a reminder that her courage still lived, still guided, still inspired. And in the hearts of the humans, that pulse became a rhythm of action, hope, and defiance. The dragon's golden eyes reflected the city below, filled with life, energy, and promise. He knew that humanity's story was only beginning. Lena's sacrifice had sparked something greater than anyone could have predicted. The humans had learned that courage, intelligence, and heart were stronger than any technology, more enduring than fear, and more powerful than oppression. And as Drakon spread his wings and disappeared into the horizon, he left behind a city transformed. The aliens had been challenged, the humans had been awakened, and Lena's legacy had become eternal. Her courage had sparked change, her spirit had guided action, and her memory would live on as a symbol of the extraordinary potential of humanity. The city would rebuild. Humans would continue to grow stronger, and the universe would soon learn what Drakon had already understood. Humanity, small and fragile though it seemed, was a force of hope, courage, and spirit that could change everything. Even in death, Lena had triumphed. Her courage had inspired, her defiance had awakened, and her spirit had guided an entire city to see that even the smallest beings could shape the fate of worlds. And so, the story ended not with sorrow, but with hope. Humans had learned to rise, to act, and to believe in their own power. Lena's legacy, witnessed and honored by a dragon, had ensured that their future was no longer determined by fear, cruelty, or technology, but by the extraordinary potential of the human spirit. The city glowed softly under the evening sky, alive with life, courage, and possibility. And somewhere high above, Drakon watched, knowing that the legacy of a 12-year-old girl would echo through the ages. A testament to what humanity could achieve when courage meets heart.